Hey, so the buzz of the industry today is Freddie Mac's forecast. So Freddie Mac is very much like Fannie Mae. And when they come out with a forecast, everybody kind of pays attention to them. They were started in 1970 for the sole purpose of ensuring money flows to the mortgage lenders, who they could take the loan that they originate, sell it to Freddie, and then move on, get their money back and move on to originate another mortgage. By the way, this is Bill Eaves with Remax and Bensalem, associate broker and senior real estate expert. So whether you're buying or selling, be it an estate or a regular house, this will affect you. So the numbers coming in, Freddie Mac is down 33% in net earnings as compared to second quarter of last year. Now, before you feel so sorry for them, they still brought in $2.5 billion. So the second thing you want to be aware of right now is the price drops that we've had lately. We haven't seen houses reduce on the market in quite a while, and every week they're growing. Take a look at this chart. The second number we're looking at on here is the back on market houses, the BOM. There's mostly three reasons a house would go back on the market. Number one, they had it sold and home inspection failed through. Buyers have no tolerance for repairs right now, and even less tolerance for the ones that they didn't know they had to make. Number two, appraisals. In the nice houses, people are still overbidding each other. The appraisal comes out and the buyer just backs out of it. Or the seller says, look, you told me you'd give me 6, I want 6. And the buyer says, well, I can't give you 6, it only appraised for 5. And that's still becoming a problem. And the third biggest reason deals fall apart is the loan. The buyer doesn't get the loan. The buyer loses overtime. Somebody gets sick. Somebody gets furloughed. It's a crazy market right now. The other thing that's happening is the rate's going from somewhere in the 3s to now somewhere in the 5s. As we look today, it's 5.4. This is knocking buyers out of qualifying. When they qualified at 3%, couldn't find anything. The credit's still the same. The job is still the same. But now the rate almost doubled, and they can't afford that house, the area they're looking at anymore. And this is one reason Freddie Mac predicts a market softening. Now they predict that, but their own surveys say that 24% of renters that they surveyed plan to buy it in the next 6 months. So 1 out of every 4 people is still looking to buy a house out of the renters. That's not even counting the move up people or move down people. And the fourth point that came out in this report that you want to be aware of is that the serious delinquency rate dropped 20%. That means there's 20% less people going seriously delinquent. And in the recent video I did a thing where foreclosure filings are up. Yes, but because the foreclosure's filed, it doesn't mean that people are going to lose their house. So how do you as a consumer react to this right now? The first thing, you want to double check that pre-qual. If you have a pre-qualification, you're a buyer, or if you're in a deal near a seller, be it an estate or regular house, and the buyer has a pre-qualification, make sure that they're pre-qualified at today's rates, not what it was 3-4 months ago. The second thing, if you're a seller, you want to ask, is the buyer locked in? Is the rate locked in? Rates float. Every day it goes up and down. Sometimes it goes up and down multiple times during the day. Well, the buyer has to tell the lender that they want to lock in. Some lenders are very on top of this and guide the buyers accordingly. Some lenders are not. And buyers, you want to sit and talk with your lender or their manager if you're not really getting a good answer and ask them, should you lock in or should you float? It's what's called floating. I'm not going to get into the details of locking and floating, but if you're a buyer, you want to have the conversation. If you're a seller, you do want to look and see, is the buyer qualified for the rate right now that you're going to be going to settlement in? The third thing you can do is both a seller and a buyer is price the house right, bid properly. Look at the empirical data before placing a bid or before putting your house on the market if you're a seller. Zillow and Realtor.com are not empirical data. They look at the size of the house and the general price per square foot in the area, and they come up with a number. That's not empirical data. That's just a basic estimate. And they're really not right most of the time. Overbidding for a house can just cause the whole deal to fall apart and you to have to rearrange your plans, sometimes at a time where you've already locked into moving. And if you're a seller, if you're planning on settling by a certain time, you don't want to start all over again, because when the house goes back on the market, the buyers are going to think it was because of the home inspection. So get the empirical data, price your house right from the start, and you'll have a nice smooth transaction. Now if you want to, check out this video on 8 things you really don't want to do in a house, you don't need to do when you're selling a house. But the biggest tip I can give you, the way the buyers are today, they have no tolerance for certain things. And the best thing you can do for your house is to make it clean and organized. Hey, thanks for watching.